Hello, everybody. Welcome to Level Up Your Design Skills with Unexplored Illustrator Features. I'm Hannah Messer, and I'm going to be your seminar leader today. A little bit about me. I'm an educator, subject matter expert writer, artist, and designer. You probably see me here every Thursday afternoon teaching the Adobe certification classes, and on Friday teaching it online. I really invite you to explore that as well. And every few weeks, we're doing special seminars on different kind of subjects. So before we start, I want to just ask you the main questions. How many of you used Illustrator before? Okay, I can see not so many. So because of that, I actually gonna look at the UI first, just to give you a little tour into that so you know what's going on. And then we're gonna jump into Unexplored Illustrator Features. So when I say Unexplored, we kind of thinking about knowing a lot of stuff that everybody knows about Illustrator, and then there's some features that for some reason people do not use. Could be a feature that you guys actually using and I think you didn't use. So everybody has kind of like an unexplored feature that they have, and I chose a few of them today. So before we start, I invite you to take your phone and look at the QR code and click on the QR code and you'll get the presentation. And within the presentation, it will take you into the file assets that I am using. If you feel like just watching me and not using it, that's okay as well. I am recording everything, so you'll be able to get the information, get the file, and then follow me. So it's really depending about how you are comfortable. And then again, you can ask questions while I'm doing some stuff. Enjoy, mainly things I want you to guys enjoy, because we're doing some stuff that it's a lot of fun and we're here to enjoy. So what are we going to do? Okay, I'm going to wait for a second until you guys scan the QR code and let me know if you got it. Give you a moment to do that. And give me the okay when I can start. Okay, thank you. And now look at what we're going to do. In this hands-on seminar, we learn how to use object mosaic to create intricate and visually appealing effects by manipulating files, tiles, colors, opacity, and blending modes. Work smarter with global colors, non-destructive effect, so your design can be flexible, editable throughout the creative process. Instantly create brand mockup using any image. Add amazing new Gen AI features to your creative toolkit. Create radial symmetry. And if we have time, we're going to look at the intertwine feature that they started kind of like, I think it came out 3 or 4 years ago and people didn't pay attention to it. And I just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. And then I have some stuff about object mosaic, how to create everything. So later on, you can relate to the PDF and do it step by step. Then the result of object mosaic that you're going to get, object repeat radial symmetry, and you can see a sample of that. And then object repeat grid and object repeat mirror. And then you have gen shape, fill, and recolor artwork. So we're going to look at that. Brand mockup. And then I have, of course, the thank you over here. And then again, the same QR code. So you can go into the QR code if you didn't do it before and basically go and get the file that you have. So before we launch Illustrator, let me know if you guys are okay with that. Again, I see you guys smiling. Everybody is kind of excited. Some of you never used Illustrator before. So it's a little bit kind of like, whoa, what are we going to do? So the first thing I want to talk to you about is basically, what is Illustrator? Anybody has any idea what is Illustrator? What kind of software is it? Yes. Okay, well, I'm going to repeat the answer right now. Yes, it is an object-based software. And because of that, what is object-based? It's basically vector-based. We have object, we're working with object the whole time, and it is what we call resolution independent. So when we're going to start a file in Illustrator, we don't need to think about the resolution, the amount of pixel per inch like we do in Photoshop. We just open a file and we start working. It's all object-based, so you can make everything bigger or smaller without taking away any of the quality of the object. And because of that, we are using that for icons, logos, corporate identities. And of course, we can use that for drawing and all kind of other helpful design for our collateral. So I'm going to click on Illustrator, and this is Illustrator 2025. You can see here it's Illustrator 25. And then you can see over here that I have that. And then this one is basically the Illustrator over here. And let me just make sure we are actually recording everything that we have. So I want to make sure that everything is in there and it's basically kind of recorded over here. And then I want to make sure it's all good over here. I kind of lost the stuff that we have here. And then we are basically recording and then it's all good. So I'm here. Yes, it's all good. So now, sorry about that. I just kind of like got a little confused for a minute because I wanted to make sure we are recording everything. So what you see over here, this is a welcome screen for Adobe Illustrator. This is my welcome screen, and that's why you see so many images that I used before. But I'm going to go back to my home screen all the way over here. And then if you can see here in the home screen, that tells you what do you have here with Illustrator. All the way to the right, you can see a little icon that tell you what's new in Adobe Illustrator. And the new things are work object on a path. I might actually look at it for a second. Enhance image trace, Project Neo, which we're not going to do that today. The mockup, but we're going to look at it. Text to pattern, we're going to look at that. And the taskbar that we have. And then I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to go to the Learn tab. So in the Learn tab over here, if you feel like learning a lot more about Illustrator, you can go in and listen to certain videos and then start working step by step with different videos. I'm going to go actually to my icon all the way on the upper right corner. And then this is Illustrator Workspace right now. And then I'm going to start working. So let's look at the first thing that we want to work with, and then just look at the general UI. I'm going to go first, and you can follow me if you want, to Window and Toolbar, and I'm going to go and bring the Advanced Toolbar out. I like to work with the Advanced Toolbar because I have all the tools that I want to work with. I also have Workspace in Illustrator. So I'm going in now, this is the default Essential Workspace. I'm going to go to Essential Classic. And the Essential Classic brings me more panels. And while we're doing that, we're going to go to the workspace and reset the Essential Classic. So look what you have over here. You have the Properties panel, you have the Libraries, and you have sets of panels that would be great to work for me. I can go in and change the look of my workspace, and then I can expand it and have it with an expanded view or with an icon view. And I might also make it a little bit bigger so you can see the top are libraries. And what are they? Creative Cloud libraries. Yes, exactly. Yes, it is exactly like the Creative Cloud library that you have in Photoshop. They don't belong to Illustrator. They belong to the entire Adobe ecosystem. And if I click on the library, I can go to different kind of library and look at me. I'm actually a library hoarder. Do you think it's enough over here? A lot of libraries, because I like to put object and I like to put some assets that I have directly inside my library. I also have my properties panel, which at the moment there's nothing in there because I have nothing really open. And sometimes what I do, I open kind of like another tab, and then these guys are the panel that I like to work with, the helpers, and this one is the panels that are helping me to do stuff like the property, the libraries, and sometime others. You see I have a comment panel. Can I comment? Yes, if I work with other people. We're not going to comment today, so we're going to go in. I have artboard panel, so you can work with Illustrator with artboards. Yeah, yeah. Artboards are actually multiple pages, as you call it, like in InDesign. You have artboard also in Photoshop, and you can have up to 1,000 artboards in Illustrator, which makes life a lot easier when you start designing and doing different kind of things. So I realized that a lot of people do not know Illustrator so well that they come here to this seminar. So I kind of prepared stuff easier for you. And I drew a lot of the stuff, and we're just going to go in and do the act together. So I want you to go to File and Open. I'm going to the assets that I have here for you. And these are the training files that you have. So you have sports logo, you have object mosaic, mockup, images from Adobe Stock, Illustrator, another logo final, and then shape, gen shape fill. And then also I do have object mosaic over here. I'm going actually to click on the first thing that we're going to do today, which is the repeat command. And I'm going to click on it and click open. And look what we have over here. I do have here my, let me just go in and check a little bit my workspace. And you can see all the way in the middle, there is a contextual bar. I'm going to move it a little bit, and then I'm going to pin it to the position to the top so it doesn't really interrupt us. So let's investigate it together. We do have 3 artboards. You can see it over here. If I was a good citizen, I would name these artboards. I was not a good one, and I didn't name the artboard. It's recommended to name the artboards. Another thing that you have is the layers panel. Illustrator is a file-based application. I call the layer repeat, and you see everything that you have here is in the same layer. So the layer is really for organization. If you don't feel like working with a layer, you don't have to. As simple as that. You just don't have to know that. You can work with one layer because everything is object. What does it mean? Let me show you. I'm going to open and collapse this layer, and look what I have over here. Everything that I did here is in one layer, and everything is basically an object. And when you have object in Illustrator, you can do so many things with it. Another thing to understand is how to select the object in Illustrator. To make life a lot easier for you guys, I'm going to the Layers panel. I'm going to click on the option bar there, or people call it the hamburger menu. I call it the flyout menu. And I'm going to Panel Options. And look what I have over here. I can change the size of the panel icons. And sometime in the beginning, I like to do that. After you get used to working with Illustrator, you might not need to do it, but I do it when I teach a class because I want everybody to see the icons I'm working with. So I'm going to click on others and I'm going to maybe 60. So look at that. Do you see the icons? They're really clear, and it is a lot easier to do that. Another thing to look at is I want to see all the artboards that I have, and I want to see my presentation. So I'm going to go to my toolbar, and all the way down at the bottom of the toolbar, you see two screens overlapping. And then if you click and hold, you can see that you have a presentation mode. And once you have a presentation mode, I can go to my arrow keys, and this is the first artboard, the second artboard, and the third artboard that I have a final kind of result for something that I did. It's not a PDF, so I'm just showing you that you can do a presentation and present to your client or in class the Illustrator file, and it looks like a PDF file. I'm going to escape and go back to Illustrator. And then once I go there, I'm going to start working on the stuff, but still showing you how to select. So some of you told me that they used Photoshop before. And that's the thing that will confuse you a little bit in Illustrator. What does it mean? If I'm going to tell you, select the layer, the first layer. So you're going to go and click on it, and now you're targeting your layer. Guess what? This is like working in Photoshop. Illustrator have no idea you are there. In order to select the entire layer and the object that's in the layer, do you see the little circle all the way to the right? You're going to click on it, and now you can see it's targeted and selected. Once I targeted and selected, you can see that everything is selected also in my artboard. I want to deselect. I can go to the select menu bar and say deselect by simply, if I go to my regular selection tool, I can just click somewhere on the screen and it's deselected. So if I wanted to select an object within the one layer, I can go in, it says repeat grid. I'm not going to just target it. I'm going to go and target it and click on this indicator, and look what happens over here. This is the repeat, and the repeat is actually selected. I can go into the radial repeat all the way down, and you can see that it is selected all the way down here. And everything that you select in your layers panel, you can go to the icon all the way the bottom of the layers panel that says locate object. And if you click on it, it will show you exactly where the object is in your layers panel. This object you can lock, you can hide, you can also move them to another layer if you want to start layering your file. But for now, we're just going to stay over here. So let's say I don't want to see the radial repeat. I'm going to turn it off. If I want to lock it, I'm going to lock it over here inside the layers panel, and then you can toggle to edit it or not. Another thing that you can do even, you can do select all, Command A, and if you feel like locking everything, you can say lock selection, and everything is basically locked in one shot over here. I can also go into object and unlock all, and you can see it's not locked anymore, and I'm deselecting the stuff. So this is super, super important to understand how to target and select the object. because if you only target them, they're going to think you are just on it, but not selecting them. And if you don't selecting, nothing is going to happen. So I'm actually going to go in and zoom in to the middle artboard. How did I zoom in so fast? I can go to the zoom in or the magnifying glass over here in my toolbar, or I can click on Command or Control plus or minus, and I can zoom in and zoom out to my artboard. And look what I have inside this area here. Remember I told you I already prepared stuff for you guys because I figured that some of you did not really know Illustrator all the way. So what do I have all the way up in the upper left corner? I have 3 ellipses that I drew using the ellipse tool, and I clicked on the rectangle tool area and I found the ellipse tool inside. I can go to the toolbar, click and hold down the mouse, and then tear the tools. And you can see here that I have tools to start drawing. These are my drawing tools in Illustrator. I have a rectangle, I have a round rectangle, I have a circle, I have a polygon, I have a star, and I have something called the flare tool. I can also go into my line tool, click and tear it out, and I can work with different tools over here. So what I really did over here, I went in and created 3 ellipses and I changed the colors. So how do I change the color? If I select an ellipse, one thing I can go is go to the properties panel, and within the properties panel, you see in the appearance area, it tells you fill and stroke. And then if I click inside the fill, you can see that I have over here my swatch panel. Also, I do have here my color mixer. I do have here my gradient. And I do have here the text to pattern beta if I want to go in and do that inside. But for now, I'm just going to go here. So if I needed to change the color, I simply choose any color and look what happens. It will change the feel of the color. If I'm going to click on the stroke, it will change the color of the stroke. So in this case, the stroke is black, and then the size of the stroke is 1 point. If I wanted to make it bigger, I can make that bigger by using the point. So you see, I'm selecting the object and I'm changing the properties of the object. Different stroke, different fill, different colors. And I'm going to deselect. So what did I do here with the orange area? I basically went in and I can show you what I did because it doesn't look like any of the tools that we have over here. So I actually went in to clicked and drag some kind of a rectangle. And then if I zoom into this rectangle, you can see this tiny little dots inside. And I click on the dots that I have inside. And then with the selection tool, I'm going to click and move it inside. And I basically created a round rectangle. Another way to work with it is go to your properties, go to the transform area, click on the 3 dots to find more information, and then all the way down in the middle, you can see the sizes and the corner type that you can use. So I can go in and make the corners all together, or I can unlink it and just work with one corner. Or I can just work with one corner over here. And you can see over here, or I can go in, and this is how I actually created it. I just created for me a different kind of shape. When you have different kind of shapes, Later on, you can make it into symbols. You can also add it to your library. What does it mean? I'm going to go to my library, and then I have a library already ready over here. And then if I go to my library, I'm going to go in and add the file to my library. So basically, I'm going to click and drag and add it to the library. And look at this. This is the graphics that I already have in there. So everything can go in and add it to my library if I wanted to use it a little bit later with anything. Does that make sense? So this is kind of like preliminary stuff, how to use this object and what to do with them. But since we called this seminar Unexplored Illustrator Objects, I'm going to click on this rectangle here. I'm actually going to delete that. I'm going to go in to my object that I have here. And you see when I click on it, I selected almost everything, but I want to go in and group it. So I'm going to do a marquee around it and go to Object and Group. So now because it's a group, I can move it together. I really want to make some kind of a radial symmetry with it. So there is a way to create radial symmetry using different kind of transformation tool in Illustrator, but there is an immediate way to create a radial symmetry using the special command. If I go to Object and Repeat, there is a repeat command. So I want all of us, if you're following me, to click on the group, hold on the Option or Alt key, and create a copy and put it just in the center. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So I have it in the center right now. I also want to show you how to move stuff. If I select it and I want to go and move it with the selection tool, I'm going to need to click on an area that has some kind of fill to move it. Be careful not to click in an empty area, because look what's happened. If you click on an empty area, you're basically deselecting it. Why is that? Anybody has an idea? Do I have a white background? What do you guys think? I mean, some of you probably think it's a white background. Let's demystify that. I'm going to select that, go to View, and Show Transparency Grid. And look what happened right now. So when you open a file in Illustrator, by default, if you don't have a background that you later on do, it is transparent. So if I zoom into it, and I think I want to move it and click on an empty area, I'm basically deselecting it. When nothing is selected on the screen, if you go to the Properties panel, it will show you rulers and grid. I can turn off the ruler. I can turn on the grid. And I can turn on and off the transparency grid as well. So you can see here, I'm going to turn off the grid, on the grid, whatever grid I have right now. I want to make sure it makes sense. So now I'm going to zoom out, and I want to make some kind of a radial symmetry. So yes, I know if I use the transformation tool, I can go to the transform panel and I can go to the rotate tool and try to tell it to rotate it around different corners. But that's something that when you start working in Illustrator, you practice. But what if you want an immediate gradient symmetry like you see over here on the right side? I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to go to my repeat area. And in the repeat area, you see you have radial, grid, and mirror. And then when I'm going to go back here, I have some options. So I'm going to click on the options, And I can decide for the radial, tells me now he has 8 kind of radial repeats. In the grid, you can decide how much grid and how many object on flipping columns that you want to have. And in the mirror, you can decide how do you want to mirror something. I'm going to click on the radial and I'm going to click OK. So now I'm selecting the object that I have now. I'm going to go to repeat and radial. And look what happens right now over here. Automatically, what happened over here is you have 8 times circle around to a certain center. And if you select it and look at your layers panel over here, you can see that it discovers it as one radial repeat. You don't see any of the objects over here. And this is something super important to understand. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to collapse the repeat layer. I'm going to go to the flyout menu, say new layer, and call the new layer radial repeat. There's nothing in the new layer, but this radial repeat that already started is in the repeat layer. And now you can see that I have it selected, and this tiny looking indicator indicates the selected art. If I click on it and push it to the new layer, you can see that now it has a red indicator, and now the radial repeat is in a different layer. Does that make sense right now? How cool is that? It's in a different layer at the moment. And it's going to make life a lot easier for you, because now I can zoom in and zoom out and decide what do I want to do with this radial repeat. If I select it again, you can see it selected it in the second layer. While you see different kind of color indicators, if you double click on the layer option, you can see that you have color that indicates the layer color. You can do different kind of colors, also custom colors. But if you don't change the color, it will go from light blue to light red to green, medium green, magenta, cyan, and what else. So depending on my images or shapes or objects, I would change sometimes the color of the indicator of your layer, and sometimes I'm just going to leave it alone. Does that make sense? Because I want to do that. So now I want to go in and change it a little bit. So if I click on it, you see a tiny, tiny little circle with 2 arrows up and down. If I go in and create more instances, look what I'm having. More, or I can have less. More or less. So it's still in a live mode over here. And then also I can hold on the shift key and make it a little bit bigger. So look what I have right now. I have my beautiful radial repeat already, and then I can decide to make a brush from it later, make it as a symbol, and do other stuff with it. It will stay in radial repeat until you're going to expand it. Once you expand it, every object that you have here becomes its own object. So we can elaborate on that in a minute. But before doing that, let's see, it's a little boring over here. So I'm going to move it a little bit more. And I want to create another repeat. So I'm going to deselect. I'm going to click on the red circle. I'm going to hold on the Option key and duplicate that. And you're going to ask me, why am I duplicating it? I'm duplicating it because I want to leave the object over there as is in case I'm going to need to use it again. And look what happened when I duplicated it. If I stay in the repeat layer, it's going to be below the layer that I have now. But now I'm going to click on it and drag it over to the radial repeat layer. And actually, I can lock the regular repeat layer. I don't need it anymore. Once I have it here, I'm going to object and repeat and radial, and look what happens. And maybe I'm going to hold down the Option key and then click on it and then just move it around. So look what happened right now. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, and look how cool it is. It's basically two repeats, two radial repeats are kind of like together. So now, can I do something else with it? Because it is Illustrator and I'm selecting it now, the radial repeat all the way up in my layers panel, I can go again to my properties panel. I'm going to click on the opacity area and I'm going to get another dialog box. This is the transparency dialog box over here. And you can see I can change the opacity of this image. I also can go in and change the blending mode. So I can make it as a darken mode. I can make it as a multiply mode. And look what happens. When I make it as a multiply mode, it's kind of darker on top of this image, and it's kind of showing me other colors that I have. Can I do more stuff? Absolutely. I'm going to select both of the repeats. Now I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to Object, Repeat, and Radial. And look what I have right now. I made a radial repeat from the repeat that I just had, and I'm going to make it a little smaller, holding down the Option key, and look what I have over here. I have a different kind of repeat. Do I want to have more instances? Of course. Deselect, and look what I have here. How awesome is that? Using the repeat command is going to let you create an immediate radial symmetry when any object that you have, and then you can go in and create a repeat of the repeat of the repeat and add other object to it at any time. Does that make sense? Can I do something else with it? Absolutely. And I'm going to do it in a minute in the other artboard that I have over here. I'm going to select that, and I might make that a little smaller. Once I have it a little smaller, I can have it smaller and bigger, smaller and bigger. But look what happened now. I made it smaller, and look what happened to my stroke over here. The stroke is getting kind of like smaller, but it's eating actually the object. So I can tell the machine to behave a little bit different. What does it mean? I'm going to zoom out, and then I want to go in and make it a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is going to go into my scale tool, and I'm going to double click on the scale tool. I'm going to double click on the scale tool. I want to scale it maybe uniformly, maybe 30%. But look what I have all the way down. Shall I scale the corners also that I did? Or and shall I scale also the stroke and the effects also? So if I scale the stroke and the effects, also it is going to scale it referring to the new subject that you have, and it's going to look a lot better. I can also decide to copy it. So once I copied it, I can go into my new scale that I did and move it to the other corner. And now when I go back here and move in and look at it, look how cool it is. It looks a little bit different than the other one that I had before. Is that cool? Because I told the stroke to make it smaller according to the new size. Before that, I made the object smaller, but it kind of stayed with the same stroke. So the stroke was bigger in a way than the object. Does that make sense? And look what I have over here. So this is one thing that I can do in the repeat command. So what do you have here on the third artboard? I'm going to click on the third artboard, and then I know I actually locked. I forgot that I locked the layer. I'm going to unlock the layer, and I'm going to select that and delete. And now I'm going to click on the new object that I have and move it to the third artboard. And then you can see that it's all the way here on the second layer. And I'm going to lock the bottom layer. So if I divide stuff to different layers, I'm going to lock and unlock layers. If I stay within one layer, I will group object, I will name the group of object, and then so I know exactly what I'm doing. Because after a while, you're going to use so many objects, it's going to be a little complicated. So now I want to go and make it, we have like some kind of a grid. So I can copy one by one and then copy and create a grid, but I can also go to object and repeat and say grid. So look what happened right away. If I said grid over here, this is the default grid. I'm going to move it all the way down here. And now I'm going to extend it. And I'm going to extend it. I see the other object. And I can move it together. And you can see I have it in there. It's cutting out a little bit the artboard. So I can go in and make it a little bit smaller and make sure I don't see another grid coming. So I have just the stuff over here and just a grid over here. So what does it mean now? I can print it. I can do anything with it. If I want to go to each individual area that I have, that's when I have to go in and expand it. What does it mean? I'm going to select this grid and go to Object and Expand. And then while I'm expanding it, it's going to ask me, what do you want to expand it to? Object and Fill. And automatically in the Layers panel, look what you have over here. You have a clipping path by default. And then you have a group. And look what you have in each group. So if I'm going to go to each group and just select the group that I have and reopen it, I have a repeat radial within this group. Can I go to this repeat radial and go in and expand it? Absolutely. And now within that, I have a group, and look at that. Each group has a group within a group. This one, the first one, the red, is just automatically different objects. And then I can expand it again and again until I get really the object that I want and I can start working on them. So if I'm selecting the red group over here and zooming into it, I'm going to select the red group over here and then go to my properties panel. I'm going to go to the properties panel. I'm selecting just the red and then click on the color and make it orange. Look what happened. This area is just selected because just these guys are within this group and I can change it. The other one are untouched yet. Does that make sense? I can go back to this radial symmetry and actually do the same. Object, expand. And then object and expand again. And then object and expand again. And then I don't think I can do this. Oh, as long as I have expand still, I'm object and expanding. And now if I'm going to my layers panel and I'm selecting the group, look what I have in this group. It's a group within a group within a group within a group, and I can continue expanding it to go to each individual object and start working with it. So I started as a whole, and then I can expand it into different pieces. Does that make sense? Cool. Any questions, you guys? Okay, no question. So we can move on and go away from the repeat command and look at creating colors in Illustrator and choosing different colors and different techniques how to create colors. So I'm going to File and Open. And the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to just go Illustrator Logo Final. And I'm going to open Art and Music Logo AI. This is what I have over here. I just created a logo, a simple logo with few simple colors. And I want to go to my swatches panel and see what I have over here. And I have colors that maybe I did not use inside my object or my logo. So the first thing that I want to do is go to Select All Unused in the flyout menu. And I'm going to take away the colors that I didn't use. And look what I have over here. I do have a color here, and that's actually the magenta color that I used over here. But the other thing that I can do, I can select everything that I have here in my logo, and I go in and say add selected colors. And you can see here, it just selected one color here. And this is basically the regular color that I used here. And then it is the magenta. If I select the color over here, and I'm going to say add selected color, you can see over here that the color is already there. But if I drag and drop it and bring it here, you see the tiny little rectangle around it. And what does it mean? I basically used one color on this logo, and it is this magenta, and it's called global color in Illustrator. If I double click on it, you see it's global color. It will tell me the amount of colors that I used. If I double click on the pink one, I'm going to click and you can see it's the same amount of colors that I have, the same CMYK. I can, of course, add it to my library if I want. And you can see not the light pink came in, just the dark color. So what does it mean? I'm going to go to my color panel. And then look what I have in my color panel. If I say show options, it will tell me that this color is 22% tint of the original color. So working with tints in Illustrator gives you the ability to use maybe one color and create something really, really cool and just pay for one color. So what does it mean? Let me change the stuff a little bit. I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to create a tiny little rectangle. And I'm going to select the dark color. Once I have that, I'm going to my color swatches, and I'm going to make that maybe 75% tint. And then add that to my color library. So once I have that, I can go in and drag and drop it to my swatch panel. So I'm going to click and drag it to my swatch panel, and you see it is a global color. So using global colors, what does it mean? I can have this art all over the place, but I can go in and not select something and double click on the global color and then change the color, and look what happens right now. Look at my logo right now. If I have global colors right now, now I can save it as a different kind of artboard. I mean, different kind of art, and it's going to be a different kind of artboard that I'm going to go in and use that. Does that make sense? So working with global colors gives you the option to change stuff that it's all over the place, and then without selecting anything, everything is going to go in and select it. I'm going to click OK and look at my swatch panel. Now I'm going to go File and Open. I mean, File and Save As. And then I'm going to go in and click OK. And then I went in and I just saved it as the same one that I wanted to go in and work with. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to go in and I can save it actually with a different color. File and Save As. I'm going to go to my computer and I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say underscore new color. And then I'm going to go in to my artboard over here. And I'm going to my desktop and save that as a different kind of colors that I have here. And then I'm going to go in and save that. So now I'm just going to go back here and I have one of the files over here and I have the other one on the other side. So if I do File and Open, and I'm going to go into my desktop and then open the file that I have. You can see over here that I open another one and I have one like this and the other one. I'm going to go to the new one. I'm going to double click and change the color and click on that. Now I'm going to select that. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to go to my other, and you see the other file that I had, the same thing just happened to it. And this is what I wanted to show you, that it is remembering the files that you have and actually remember the colors that you have as a global color. Does that make sense? So you will remember the global color that every time that you're going to have. I'm going to select that. Even if I go in and copy it, you can see over here, double click. I'm going to select the global color and look what happened. This is what happened right now. I just selected the color and changed the global color that I had before. Does that make sense? So these are global colors. So now let's go and look at how to create generic colors. I'm going to my close all. I'm going to File and Open. And from the stuff that I gave you in the training file, you have a place that says Object Mosaic. And I'm going to go and open, and then you're going to go in and open the one that says AI and nothing is in there. So I have some artboards, and look at my swatches panel. I don't have any color in the swatches panel purposely. The first thing I'm going to look at is a Photoshop file that I have over here. And I'm going to look at my links panel. So I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to the links panel to see if I linked it or embedded it. So basically, this is a JPEG that I put in from Adobe Stock, and then it is embedded. What does it mean, embedded? I basically went in there, and then I embedded it, so it is part of the file that I have over here. So now I can unembed it if I want. I'm going to go in and unembed it. And then I'm going to save it again. and you can see the Photoshop file is saved. And now I can go to my eyedropper and click on any color and then allow the colors, and I can add the color, but that's going to take a long time to do that, right? So I don't want to do it step by step like that. That's going to take forever because it's going to be here and move it here like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the file. And then I'm going to duplicate that. And the first one that I do is I'm going to go to image trace. So you can image trace any Photoshop files that you have. And by default, it is going to go and be black and white. But if I'm going to the image trace dialog box, I can decide that I want to have it different kind of colors. For the sake of the time, I'm going to make it low fidelity colors. And then you can see now it traced it, and it's basically a vector-based image. And it takes a moment because maybe it's a high-end file. So now I traced it, and I can go back and forth. Because it is linked still, when I traced it, I can go back and forth to Photoshop and change some stuff over here. So I can go to Photoshop, jump over, change the color, and it's going to retrace it. What does it mean? I'm going to go to the links panel, going to go in and edit with Photoshop. It is going to open Photoshop for me. And once it opens Photoshop for me, I can add an adjustment layer or anything else to it, and it will retrace it for me. So it will open Photoshop. I can do anything, and that's why I place the Photoshop file, and I have it in there, and then it is going to go and do that. It will take a moment to do it. So, and it opens Photoshop. Might take a second. And for some reason, it takes more than I need to. If I don't want to do that, that's okay. I'm going to force quit it, and I don't have to go there. But I can go to Photoshop and change. But what if I wanted to add colors? So I'm selecting that, and I'm going to expand it. And once I'm expanding the trace right now, you can see that it traced it into objects, expanded it. And now I can actually go to my swatches panel, go to the flyout menu and say add selected colors. And in a second, you see all the colors that I traced. Look at that. That's a lot of colors. So maybe I want to use this color or maybe not. Maybe I can eliminate some of the colors, but I have a lot of colors here that I can go in and save. I can also go into the flyout menu and save it as ASC file and open these colors in Photoshop or in InDesign. But you can see all these colors are actually global colors. So if I'm going to double click on any color and change the color, you can see it changing the colors inside the image directly. And this is the power of global colors also when you image traced it. So that's another way of creating some colors. Let's look at another way of creating colors. I might actually go into these colors, select one color, hold on the Shift key, and delete some of the colors because I don't want to have so many. And then you can go back here, and then you delete that. And then I'm going to select that and delete this one. And then I'm just going to go in and delete a lot of the colors that I have. Hopefully I can delete all of them. And you can see less and less colors that I have. Or I can go in and completely reset the swatch panel and have it with not all this color. It takes a moment and hopefully, whoa, there's a lot of colors here. And for some reason, it just takes a while. I can also group it and have that inside the group. And you can see here, it's in a folder. And I might take the folder and go back here and select that. So if I don't want all this, I can go in. I could have done undo. It will take a lot faster probably to go back here and just do there and look at, okay. Now it's more manageable. I don't have so many colors. Yay. Wonderful. And I can use this color for other stuff. So let's do the next one that I like to do. And I call it also another unexplored stuff to create colors. And I'm going to select the first Photoshop image and drag and drop it over and zoom into it. And I'm selecting that and going to object, and I want to go in create object mosaic, and I can see that it is actually grayed out. So I cannot actually use it for anything because it's a linked file. So I'm going to my links panel and embed the file. And now it is part of Illustrator, and it's going to let me use the Photoshop file within Illustrator, and it's not an external file. Once I have that, I can do object and create object mosaic. So what you have over here is you can create some kind of mosaic from the image. You don't have a preview, unfortunately, but you can decide on number of the tiles that you want to have. And if you want to have any spacing between that. So let's say I'm just going to have number of tile 10 to the width and 10 to the height. I'm not going to make any spaces between them. And then I do not want to delete the raster image. I want to leave the Photoshop image in there. And then I can go and use the ratio, and then I'm going to click OK. So if I use the ratio, it's 10 and 7. So look what I have right away now. Automatically, look what I got. I got some kind of mosaic squares, one on top of each other, with the color of the image that we have. I'm going to go in and let's look at the stuff that I have, and I'm going to select it. And look what I have inside my layer over here. Let's go into the panel options. And I'm going to make it 60. And look what I have over here. In here, this is what I have. AI image PSD. And then I'm going to go back here. I have a clipping. And I have the command over here. The other ones, I don't want to use it right now. But basically, this is what I have over here. So this is the object mosaic. I'm going to select the object mosaic, and if I turn it off, I see the image below. But if I select the object mosaic, and I'm going to my swatch panel and say add selected colors, look what I got here. It's a little more manageable because I really got this color that I wanted, and now I can start kind of like playing with it. Does that make sense? How cool is that, and how fast I can go in and create some kind of stuff with the object mosaic. Now, once I have it, I might do something else with it. I'm going to go in and drag and drop it or copy it to the next artboard. And then if I copied it to the next artboard, basically this is what I see. So you can see over here, and I'm copying to the next artboard, and then I'm going to go back here and put it all the way up and all the way up here, and I'm going to copy that, and then actually I don't see it. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to select what I have over here. Let me make sure I'm selecting everything that I need. I don't need that. I don't need this one. I don't need this. And then this is what I have over here. I'm going to zoom in. And then this is what I have over here. And then when I'm selecting it, I can go back here and do stuff with the object that I have. So once I select just the object mosaic, I can actually go to the opacity and change the opacity. And then if the image is still below, I can go back here and then I can see the image below and you can see the opacity. If I'm going to go in and not change the opacity, but change the blending mode, I might do it as a lighting mode, and look at that. All of a sudden, look at the image that I have. I have some kind of special effects to it. So that makes it a little cool. So can you do something else with the special effect? Absolutely. And that's the next thing we're going to do. We are going to go into the next special effect and we are going to create something with it. So I'm going to select, and it's 100%. And now what I want to do is I want to go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and I'm going to Roughen. And while I'm on the roughen, I'm going to change the size of the roughen. I'm going to change the detail of the roughen, and I'm going to click OK. And this is basically a non-destructive effect. And then if you turn off the image, you have something that looks like that. How cool is that? These are just kind of objects that you have that you can do anything with it. And then I'm very excited right now because you can see what you can do with the stuff that you have. So if I double click just on the image and double click to expand it, I can do anything with it and anytime. I can even try to put some text in there. And then I'm going to double click again and unexpand it. And look what happened. If I put text in there, the object takes away its color, but I can go into my direct selection tool and decide that I want to create another color. And then I'm going to go in and create another color to the area that I have. And then you can have the color inside the area. So you can continue doing different kind of things after creating the effect that you have. Does that make sense? Any question? And this is object mosaic that you can do so many things with it. Let me show you another sample. File and open. And then I have the final over here. Maybe this final looks a little bit better than the one I just created. And look what I have over here. If I go to my presentation mode, you can go back here and see this is the original image. This is an image trace. This is object mosaic with certain effects, and object mosaic with different effect as well. I can also go to File and Open. And I believe that I have another sample over here. And then I have it actually, maybe I have it inside, or maybe I didn't bring it, but I don't think I have it. Illustrator Final, Shape in Illustrator. I don't have it actually here. It's okay. So I thought I have another image that I can show you how I work with. But in general, this is how you work with object mosaic to create some special effect as well as creating some color to the images that you have. Any questions before we move to the next one? And by the way, you see the colors that I have over here? I can save it as an SE color, and then I can open them in InDesign and in Photoshop later. Questions? The question is, can we use any Photoshop file or JPEG? Yes, we can. The only thing to pay attention to is make sure you place it not linked. You have to embed the image within the file that you have. If by mistake you place it, you can always go to the links panel and say unlink it and embed the image, and then you can start working with it. Does that make sense? Cool. Next thing that we are going to go, we're going to look at something pretty new to Illustrator, and it is mockup. So I'm going to go to File and Open. And then I'm going to look at the mockup, and let's look at the stuff that we have here. And then you have just some kind of logo over here, and I have different logos over here. And then I have one says logo preview. And I'm going to click and look at that. And this is a logo preview that I have over here. So this is basically a logo that I put in there. And then it has a preview that I have over here that I put in there. But I'm going to go in and select the logo that I have over here. And before selecting it, you know what? I might go into the word Seattle, and I'm going to go and give it a different color, something a little bit darker so we can see it for later. And then I'm going to go into the grounding, and then I'm going to go in and make it green. And then I might need to go into the ball over here and kind of move it a little bit because I put the ball on top of the O, but I really don't care if it's not matching. And now I'm going to go in and select the two of them, everything, and I'm going to group it. I grouped it. And then I'm going to go into View, and then I'm going, first of all, I'm going to Window, and I am going to go into Mockup. And it is pretty new. So again, you can go in and start a tour to see how it works. Or you can go in and select the stuff and see I have preview mockup. And by default right now, they have envelopes, they have a guy standing and holding something, they have a girl with a bag, and we have a booklet. If I'm going to say preview mockup, look what I have right now over here. Basically, I have the girl over here, and then she has the bag. So I can go in and place her on the canvas. And then show my client, look, it is going to look like that on a bag. And once I have it here, it still thinks that it's mock-up. So you see here, it is going to pretend that it's going in to the borders of the bag that she has. Does that make sense? And now, kind of like by default, if I'm going to look at the stuff that I have, if I'm going to my symbol panel, automatically it is in my symbol panel over here. So if I'm going to double click on the symbol panel, and I'm going to go and change some stuff. Let's say I'm going to hold down, double click over here, and then just do the ball and bring it here, and hold on the Option key and bring the symbol here, and then go into the word Seattle and duplicate it over here. And as soon as I double click, look what happened on my object. I did the mockup, and the symbol is actually translate itself right away to come back and be inside this area. If I'm looking at the rest of the mockup, and I'm going to go and zoom out to it, I can see right away, maybe I want to look at that, and maybe I'm going to go in and select that, and then click on the mockup over here, and I can go in, I can create my own mockup, or I can release it. And then when you create your own mockup, you basically can bring it to any area that you have. So what does it mean? I'm going to do File and Open. And I'm going to go to File and Open. And let's say I'm going to my Illustrator area. And then let me just go back here. And I'm going to Illustrator and going to the training files. And in the mockup area, I'm going to double click over here and then click on a girl with a computer AI. And this is what I have over here, a girl with a computer AI. I'm going to zoom into it. And I'm going to look if I have any symbol in the symbol panel. I don't have any symbol that I created. I'm going to go into the flyout menu over here, and I'm going to say Open Symbol Library, Other Library, and see if I have other symbols that I have. So in the mockup, probably I do have symbol library. I just created some symbols. So I'm going to say graphics mockup. And look what I have over here. I have different kind of graphics. So I might go back to my little coffee area, and I selected that. And then this one, I can go back here. I can see a preview over here. I have it over here, but I can also go in and select that and create my own mockup right now while I have it. So I'm going to go back here and select that and then create my own mockup. So now it's going to take the coffee and then create its own mockup on her screen. And then you can create tattoos and you create different kind of things. You can see over here, I'm going to go back here. It's going inside her computer. And then I created my little mockup over here and I work with. So this is really cool for you guys if you want to start creating some kind of mockups to create for different kind of things that you have. So maybe you send that to the client. Maybe you're going to go in and create another artboard. And now you can go in and bring it here and say, well, here is a little mock-up, and then here is another mock-up that I have, and I have the girl, and she has a bag, and in the bag, she has the little kind of symbol to it. You're not really doing it, but you're mocking up, and then later on, you're going to need to do it with any other tools that you want to do. Does that make sense? Questions. This is actually a new tool that showed up a few years ago, and people are not really familiar with it, but it's something, especially if you are in marketing and then you're going to do promotion for stuff, you can show your client how to promote the stuff and have the object going into a different area. Does that make sense? Cool. Is that cool? I think it is, right? It's a lot of fun to just work with stuff like that. And you can see I have different kind of images over here. And then I can go and bring it over here. And then I can preview the mockup. And now it's going to change the mockup and look at that. So the different kind of things that you can create and create your own mockup, or you can bring an object or image that you have and show how it is going to be on top of the image. Questions? Yes. At the moment, it goes to any Photoshop image or image that you have. Maybe later on, it's going to be able to do a mock-up on top of Illustrator stuff. But this stuff actually works also. You have a 3D stuff that you can start working in Illustrator, which I'm not doing it today, but there's another option to start working with 3D and working with the mock-up as well. Great questions. I'm going to close all. I'm not going to save that. And let's jump into another area completely. I'm going to go to View window, and I'm going to reset my workspace so it is nice and clean. Since I didn't save my workspace, it went back to the original one, which is I'm fine with it at the moment. And now what I'm going to do is, let's look a little bit about AI within Illustrator. So I'm going to go to File and Open. And once again, I prepared stuff for you guys. Because there's no time in 2 hours to do all the features that we want to show. And also, it takes a moment to start working with it. So I have a file said Janesfield Illustrator, and I'm going to click on it and then click open. And then you can see some files that I created different kind of stuff with it. And if I select some of it with my selection tool, and then I go to see my contextual menu, you can see it is Janefield Beta is asking you to do stuff with it. And some of it, it's going to tell you generate vector and what do you have inside and what do you want to generate in there. So we're going to go in and do File and Open. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go Gen Shape Exercise. And we're going to go in, there is a final that shows you everything, how it looks. But then you have stuff just I drew in there. But then you have Jane Field AI, just start. So what did I do over here? If I go into the first one, I can say drawing with the curvature tool. Basically, I can go in and create different things with it. The first thing I'm going to go in, I drew it already, but I'm going to just draw something. I'm going to go to a rectangle tool and just create a rectangle. And look what it tells you over here. Generate vector beta or gen shape fill beta. What does it mean? If you draw something, you can also fill it with something else, or you can also generate vector with that right away. So I'm going to go into generate, and what do we want to go and create different stuff in it? Maybe I have some kind of prompts already, but I'm going to say, and then I might actually open if I have another prompt over here, because sometime I have my prompt over here already. Oh, this is the testing one that I have, but sometime I'll have a prompt that I'm going to go and write something. So I'm going to say landscape with palm trees overlooking the water. Very simple. And it gives you some idea what to do. So if I didn't want to do a prompt, it will give me some idea for different prompts. It might take a while. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to look at that and look what I have. I have that. And it is vector, by the way. It's all vector. Not bad at all, right? I have this. If I select that, I have another one overlooking the water, and I have another one overlooking the water. And it shows me what it is. Now I have over here different kind of things. You have it in my contextual bar. So you can go in and view all settings. So these are all the settings that you have. And basically, if you didn't have a prompt, they're giving you inspiration prompts that you want to go and work with. So if I'm too lazy, I'm going to go back here and say, the tree of life spreading across the sky beneath the ground. And I'm going to go and generate that. And it is going to give me another kind of results that I have over here. So you can start playing with it and doing all kind of stuff to create stuff and then create something. I didn't overwrite the other one that I had. I have, if I select it, you can still see 1 and 2 and 3. Do I have the other one from before? Absolutely. And you can start copying and pasting and changing it to different kind of things. But all the way up here, you can also have a style reference, and you can open stuff for a style reference. You can also go back here, content and type of detail. So you can have a subject, and then the subject that you have, you can make it a little bit more and maybe generate, and it's going to look a little bit different. And then also you can go in and make that into a object or an icon, and look at that. This is a subject. What if I wanted to go in and create from that an icon? Icon gonna be pretty simple, and that's better for working with icons to create different kind of maps and all kind of stuff like that. So I kind of invite you to experiment the stuff that you have over here and generate graphics. If I am staying with it all the way, no, that's not where I stop. This is not good. I don't like that, but I'm going to go back here and make that into a subject and bring it back. So I don't stop here. I just play and play with it. And then what happens is I start taking object from the area that I have and start working with it. I also have a tendency to start copying the stuff that I have. So look how cool this one is. So if I want to start separating stuff, depending how I'm going to work with it, you can start separating stuff and then start selecting. And then if I copy it and unseparate it and paste it, look what I have over here. Now I have the tree without the background. And now I can do different kind of things with it. Can I do gradient symmetry? Of course I can do. I can go into my subject, and then I'm going to go add selected colors. Of course I can do that and look at all the colors that I just got from it. Sorry, so you don't have to stop at the area that you did with it. And you can do different things. And I'm going to zoom in to do other stuff. So what else do you have? I'm going in here and I said drawing with a curvature tool. And I might go back and duplicate it. And I'm going to go select that. And it says to me, Gen Shape Fill. And you can see that it tells you what to do. You're going to tell it what do you want to go in and fill with it. 1 minute. So now when I have it here, I'm going to say Gen Feel Better. And what do I want to put in there? So I can decide to do different kind of prompts. If I don't know what to put in there, I can go back here and decide that I want to go in. And it says a tree of life going according to the style that I have. Or I can go back here and the stuff that I have here. Or maybe I'm going to say small birds. And then I'm going to say of lake something morning and generate. So basically what I did right now, I'm going to go in and it's going to be some kind of filling it with the stuff that I have. So it can also generate stuff for you. And then also while it generates the stuff, it is going to go in and fill the information. And look what I have over here. How cool is that? And now I have the stuff that I have here. And then look at this one. Look at this drawing. And then I can go in and change the stuff that I have. Maybe I'm going to zoom out. And then while I have it here, I'm going to go in and click on the area and then go back here and then do some kind of asset that I want to go and work with. And this is the asset that I want to go and work with. And then I'm going to start generating. So it's going to take whatever I selected And based on that, it's going to generate some fills into it. So I'm going to show in a minute few kind of sample, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to start playing with it and work with the stuff that you have. So I have one like this, like that, and like this. I'm going to select this one, and I change the other one to different kind of things that I have. So I can do, and then again, the drawing itself did not change, but it took it and filled it with the stuff that I have over here. So if you're gonna go into this area, I actually changed it a lot already, but look what I had over here. Skin color and small dots, hand drawer, watercolor, gradient picture. What did I put in there? Fun stroke, ink texture, metal retro dirty. So you can see over here, I got different kind of stuff based on the drawing that I had and went into the stuff and gave me some kind of information, which is really cool if you want to go and work with it. So we can continue that. I'll give you a few minutes. Feel free to play for a few minutes, and I'm going to walk around and see what you did, and then we're going to go in and create some more stuff. And let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay. So I see you guys creating and getting the ideas. Let's do some other stuff. Look at this. Drawing shapes with the ellipse tool, drawing shapes with the radial symmetry. So what does it mean over here? I might go back to this ellipse and I might go to my radial symmetry, option click to the center and maybe do 36 degrees. And I'm just going to go in and create some kind of a flower. So in this case, if I created a flower, now I can go to Gen Fill Beta, and then I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say yellow and red flowers with small blue birds and trees. And then you're going to go back here, and then I'm going to generate. So you can see here, I'm generating stuff, and that's why I wanted to take time and start playing with it. If you have difficulties to do the design itself or draw something, I have a complete file for you to open, and then you can see, look at the prompts. Oh, that's kind of cool. Look at that. And then do I have another one? And I have another one over here. How cool is that? So let's move to the other one over here. Now you're going to do something that you already learned. You're going to go to Object and Repeat and do a radial repeat. And this radial repeat, I might even go in to my same prompt, copy it, select the radial repeat over here, and then go into my contextual bar. I'm going to go back here and go radial repeat over here. And then I'm going to go in to click on that. I'm selecting that. And I can go in and play with it and then look at the contextual bar, which disappeared for me in a minute, which I have no idea why. Let me just look at it at the moment. And then let me go in and expand it. And then I'm going to go back here and then Gen Shape Fill. I'm going to paste. the same prompt. So you wanted me to go in and actually expand the generative fill, the repeat command, which is logical because it doesn't read actually the objects. But now let's see what we get inside this area. And look at that. That's actually really cool over here. And then I can go in, and if I move it and make it bigger, look at that. The other one is actually underneath it, but I'm going to click on that. Click on the next one and see the stuff that I can get. So if you want to start playing a little bit, click on File and Open. Go to the files that I have. Go into General Repeat, and then go back here to the one that says Final. And then if you click on the Final, you can see all of it just showing you how it worked. So the first one is just the drawings that I have for you. You can copy, and then you have the faces, and then you have over here basically the the command that we just played with, and then you can see here. So the first one is the flower, and the birds are all over there, and the other one is the repeat command. So if I'm selecting one, you can see that I can change the size, I can change the stuff over here. Do I want to go and get some of the object? Of course, I can go in and copy it, deselect, and paste it. And look what I have now. Now I have a bird, and I can do other stuff with it. I can make a brush from it. I can do a repeat. I can make a symbol. I can change the color. I can change the drawing, and I can do anything with it. So with that said, let's look at changing the colors. I'm going to go in and just select this guy here and copy it. And let's go and create a new artboard and paste. And this is what I have over here right now. And I might go in and hold down the Option key and hold on the Option key and hold on the Option key and change. Each time you have something, each one of them is the same thing, but I have a duplication of it. Now, while I have it on the screen, I'm going to go to my properties panel, and all the way on my property panel, all the way down, it says recolor. The recolor dialog box shows up. Highly recommend to go to advanced option. And when in the advanced option, you can also go in and say generative color and tell it always open as advanced. I can go in and just go and change it based on the color that I have already. And look at that, absolutely cool. And I have a different color. The other one that I want to go back here, I'm going to do recolor. And now I'm going to go generative recolor. So what I actually going to do right now, I have sample of prompts. This one has salmon sushi. And then it is going to go and show me different kind of ideas and colors that I'm going to go back here and look at these colors. And then if I go in and generate it again, it will generate another one. So there's another one to create more colors. If you go to the advanced area and click now on new swatch, look what you have over here. You have new swatches over here. And if I'm going to select this one over here, I'm going to go again to recolor artwork, generative color, and now you can do different color. Blue skies with clouds and yellow dots. I have no idea if it is a color or not color. You can add more colors. You can do different kind of things. It will generate certain colors for you based on your stuff that you have over here. You can have sample prompts over here, back to that. You can have variation. You can also add more colors to the mix. So if I want to do more colors that I didn't have, and then I'm going to generate, it will take the extra color that you have and start generate. Does that make sense? How cool is that? So we're almost at the time. I'm going to leave you time to play, but I want to show you one more thing. I'm going to select that and copy. And I'm going to File and New. And I know we did a lot of stuff, and especially it is a little more difficult if you never used Illustrator before. If you're interested of learning Illustrator, in the summer, we're going to have an online 10 weeks Adobe Illustrator class. And then in the fall, we're going to have another class of Adobe Illustrator 10 weeks to work with. So you can start kind of sharpening your skill with Illustrator in the future. So start looking at our ads and see what's going on. But let's say I'm just going to do that. And now I am going on and creating something. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to paste the image and I'm going to make it really, really small over here. And I'm going to select that and I'm going to go to Object and it says Object on a path and it says Attach. So now I'm just going to go in and decide where do I want to attach the object on the path over here. And then you can see that the object on the path over here. And then I can have another object and another object. So I could have had a bunch of objects over here. Let's say another object and I have a different color and another object and another object and another object. Each one can be a different color. And I'm going to select that and select the path that I have. And I'm going to go Object on a path, Attach. And then I'm going to click here to attach it and look what happens. And now I'm just going to go back here and then you can decide that you move it around. You can decide that you stretch it. There's different kind of ways for you to start looking at the object on the path. You can rotate it. You can go back here and move it around. And of course, while you have it over here, you can go Object on the path and then you have options and it tells you how do you want to do it. And then you can go in and share the stuff and then you're going to see the pivot where it's going to be. And then you can go back here and save. And then they wanted you to kind of share the kind of what you think, give them a feedback because it is something absolutely new. You also can go Object on a path and completely expand it. And now it is, each one, it's its own little thing over here. So highly recommend to start looking at Object and a path. This is something new. Another new things that you have over here is the dimension that you start kind of like measuring stuff. Object in a path is also in the toolbar. So there's a lot of stuff for us to explore that we didn't do today. One of them is actually the blend tool, which is really awesome. But in general, I kind of highly recommend to start looking at the stuff. So once again, here are the stuff that we are playing with it today. Leveling up and design your skill Unexplored Illustrator features. You can go over that and you can start playing with it. If you want to have the files, you can click again on the QR code and get all the information. And then if you have any kind of question for me later, I invite you to visit me in my classes. You can see me on Behance over here, and then you can follow me on LinkedIn and we can start the conversation. Thank you very much, you guys. Thank you very much for coming. I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to post it. and love to see you soon. Anytime that you're around, check out to see our seminar in the future. Thank you again.